Oh, wow. This mic is on. Hi, how's everyone doing? It's like literally a perfect fall day today. It's so nice. All right, so who has heard of the Hetoast? Anyone? Wow, no one has heard of the Hetoast. Oh, you have heard of the Hetoast. One person. Okay, fair enough. So the Hetoast is, it's from my cookbook, Indianish, which is out now. And basically, I like to think of Indianish as like every Indian parent's secret for getting dinner on the table. You have nothing in the fridge, the kids are complaining, you make Dahi toast. And you can kind of think of the Dahi toast as like an Indianish grilled cheese sandwich. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take bread, we're gonna make a little yogurt mixture, we're gonna griddle it, and then we're gonna make something called a chonk. Does anyone know what chonk is? Oh, some people. Okay, we've got some chonk lovers in the house. Great. All right, so let's get started. So there's a few components here, really easy. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make our yogurt filling. So, you know, the first time I introduced this dish to a lot of people, they were like, yogurt in a sandwich? Like, how does that work? It works very well. You have to use a really thick yogurt, like Greek yogurt works really well. Also, like, this is not super intuitive, but a yogurt that's not full fat, because you're not looking to get like the flavor of the yogurt. You're gonna season it with all this good stuff. So you don't need like a really rich, really flavorful yogurt. Feel free to use your 1% sitting in the fridge. So the beauty of using Greek yogurt is once you griddle it in a pan, it kind of dries up and almost becomes this like ricotta-like filling that then takes on the flavors of all these other things you have in it. I wish that I could pass out samples. Maybe I'll keep some in my pocket after this and you can come up to me and I'll give you a sample of the Hetoast. But just what happens when yogurt hits the griddle is magical, and every time someone is super skeptical, they try it and they're like, oh my God, why have I not been putting yogurt in my sandwiches before? All right, so we've got some yogurt. To that, we are gonna add cilantro, and then we're gonna add, they've chopped a lot of green chilies. I usually add 2 green chilies. They're these like beautiful slender chilies you can find in an Indian market. Otherwise, serranos work great. Any fruity pepper. A tip about chilies, don't de-seed your chilies. You can totally take the spice. We are capable of taking a lot more heat, you know, in food and in life than we think that we are. If you take anything away from this talk, I specifically was like, do not de-seed my chilies because I can take the heat. So to this, we're gonna add some chopped red onion. We're gonna add a little pinch or a big pinch of cayenne. I also really like Kashmiri red chili powder. It has kind of like a nice smoky flavor. I'm gonna put a little bit more. All right. And you're basically looking for this mixture that, like, it's gonna basically look like the yogurt is sort of almost just a binder for all these other ingredients. Like, it's mostly the onions and the cilantro and the chilies, with the yogurt just kind of like hanging out there, melding everything together. So, all right, we've got this all sorted out, and now we're gonna spread it on our bread. So let's talk about bread. When my mother immigrated to this country, in India, all they really had was plain old white bread, which I love. White bread, fantastic. Then she took a trip to California and she discovered something called sourdough bread. And it kind of blew her mind. As an immigrant from India, she had literally never had heard of bread that had this like amazing tang to it, had body. And she immediately felt like the tang of sourdough bread is gonna go perfect with sort of like the really like spice forward taste of a lot of these dishes. So a lot of Indian moms make their Dahi toast with white bread. My mom's innovation was using sourdough bread, and you're not gonna make it with anything besides sourdough bread once you make it with sourdough bread. So you're gonna just spread it onto these toasts. I wish I had is there another spoon here? All good. We're fine. All right, so you're just gonna spread it on these toasts. My mother is so, like, bless her soul, she's so particular about when you spread it, you have to get it in every single nook and cranny. When I was younger, I was embarrassed of my mom's Indian food, and I made her pack a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for me for lunch every day. And she was obviously annoyed, but she was like, I'm gonna pack the best possible peanut butter and jelly sandwich she's ever had in her life. And so she would like meticulously spread the peanut butter on the crevices and the jelly. And so every bite was the perfect ratio of peanut butter to jelly. These are the things mom do for their ungrateful kids. All right, so we're gonna make more sandwiches. All right. Okay. This recipe truly could not be easier. When I was first learning to cook my mom's food, this was one of the first things she taught me, because she was like, you cannot mess this up. Like, maybe you put a little too much onion, you don't put enough chilies, you don't stuff your sandwiches enough. This is such a forgiving recipe, and in general, I think Indian cooking is one of the most forgiving cuisines out there. A little more of this, a little less of this, like, I don't think it is like a precision-driven cuisine, and I think that's what makes it so accessible. You know, there's all these perceptions out there. Indian cuisine is too difficult, it's too complex, it's too heavy. And to those people, I would say, if Indian food were really that hard to make, would billions of aunties and uncles be making it every single day at their homes? No. My mom was a software engineer, and she'd come home from work at 6 o'clock, and dinner had to be on the table by 6:30, and she was making Indian food. This cuisine is really not hard, and I hope that my book, Indianish, sort of kind of breaks down that misconception and also sort of presents, you know, this world of like what happens when immigrants come to a new country and discover ingredients like sourdough bread, or the fact that we make our sag paneer with feta instead of paneer because it's delicious. All right, so we've got these sandwiches. All right, so we're gonna griddle them. So into a pan on like medium-ish heat. I think this has been heating up a little bit. We're gonna put some olive oil just to like grease the wheels a little bit, make these a little bit easier to maneuver. All right, so this looks like it's pretty hot. And once it's hot, you're just gonna arrange your sandwiches, as many as will fit. I'm like, do I dare make the whenever I make the chutney while the sandwiches cook, I invariably burn the sandwiches. So I'm like, should I make the chutney? Should I wait? Oh God. You know what? I'm gonna make the chutney. If you smell burning, just let me know. All right. So chutney. Again, one of those things that like you don't even need a recipe for. Do you have herbs that are about to go bad? Make chutney. Here's your formula. Herbs, parsley, cilantro, basil, anything leafy and green and like kind of watery will work. Like you don't want to be making this with like thyme or anything. So herbs, add 1 chopped jalapeno or serrano pepper. Add the juice of 1 lime. Add a teaspoon of salt. Add a pinch of sugar, because apparently that keeps things nice and bright green. Blend it until it gets like smooth but still has some flecks in it, and that's it. Chutney is so easy. Like, I feel like sometimes we buy herbs and they're like, you use some of them and then you've just got that like stack of sad, wilty herbs that are kind of starting to brown. Don't let them brown and throw them away. Just like make chutney. I will make chutney and freeze it and then thaw it, and you can like put that chutney, you can dip fries into it. You can like mix it with sour cream and like toss it with potatoes and make a really good salad. You can, I've just like put it in rice and like put some tomatoes and onions and made like a little rice situation. Chutney is like the greatest thing ever, and I feel like we all need to just be making more chutney. That's not from like like those chutneys. I feel like a lot of people that I know think that chutney is like that, like the cherry chutney you get in like the Stonewall Kitchen brand jars. I'm like, who told you that was chutney? I feel like there's this perception, like, I don't know, like fruit with some spices in it, it becomes a chutney. That's not what I see as a chutney, but I don't know. Let's see if I've burned these sandwiches. All right. Oh, no, they're good. So you're gonna want to press down a little bit because you're sort of kind of creating like a seal. Yogurt doesn't really work like cheddar cheese. It's not like a perfect seal. So you kind of have to do a little bit of work to get it to seal itself. And if it's not browning properly, just add a little more oil to the pan, spread it around. All good. I'm gonna tend to these. I think I'm just like, if I burn food on the New York Times cooking stage, my mom is gonna give me hell. So I'll make the chutney after this. I do these videos for Bon Appetit's YouTube channel, and after every video, my mom and dad call me and tell me all the things I did wrong, like the Asian parents that they are. So, yeah, they're always watching. I can't wait to do that with my kids. What a great tradition. My parents also were like super skeptical about me becoming a food writer. I mean, like, I told them when I was in like 10th grade that I wanted to write about food for a living, and my parents are both software engineers by training, and they were so confused. And in fact, I remember I was in college, and my dad really wanted me to apply to like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and all those banks, and I wrote cover letters, I had my resumes already, and then I just didn't send in the applications. They're literally still sitting on my computer, my like, "Dear sir, I'm writing to express my interest in becoming an investment banker at Goldman Sachs." And to this day, my dad doesn't know that I never sent the applications. I was like, "Dad, I didn't get any interviews." And he was like, "How didn't you get any interviews? You're a good student. Like, I read those cover letters." And I was like, they just didn't want me. And so I was allowed to become a food writer after the banks said no. And I'm very thankful that I did. Because I remember when I first moved to New York, I walked by the New York Times building and I thought, one day maybe they'll let me write a small thing for their newspaper. And now they let me write for their newspaper, and it's pretty awesome. Okay, so you'll see that the Hetoast has gotten like this nice crispity golden brownness on it. Like, that is perfect. Like, whatever grilled cheese sandwich technique you have, apply that here. Just treat this like you're making a grilled cheese sandwich. We've got ketchup here. It's, basically the same thing. We'll get to the ketchup in a second. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, can I do that mayo trick where I spread mayo on either side?" The answer is no. I hate mayo. It's the worst. Don't ever talk to me about mayo. And that's the last thing I'll say on the subject of mayonnaise. All right, let's see how our sandwiches are doing. All right, they're still going. Does anyone have any questions while I'm cooking? Anyone? No questions? All right, well, if you have questions, feel free to shout it out, because I don't know, I like to think of these as just like intimate chats. That's how I deal with stage fright. Yes? Yes, in fact, you can use ghee or olive oil. Olive oil is another one of those wonderful things my mom discovered when she immigrated to the US. And she just like really loved the fruity taste and how it complemented Indian spices, but we pretty interchangeably use butter, ghee, olive oil. They all work really well. I would say the one thing that I think ghee is uniquely great in is dal. Like, olive oil and dal, totally fine, but ghee in dal is just a game changer. There's nothing better. All right, I'm gonna turn the heat down to low. I'm gonna put the other sandwiches on, and I'm gonna make chutney. All right. Okay, so I feel like we've developed a rapport. You all will tell me if it's burning. So just let me know. Oh, there we go. Here is sandwiches. All right, so we're gonna make our chutney. Start with a bunch of cilantro. It's been washed. Do not discard the stems. Stems have water. That water helps the blades go. I hate when people are like picking cilantro off the stems. I'm like, not only is that just like such tedious work, but like the stems have so much flavor and they're gonna help you build your chutney. Do not take away the stems. Don't do unnecessary kitchen work. Also, peeling. Who needs it? I'm just saying. All right, and we've got our chili. We've got about a lime's worth of lime juice. we have got salt, and we have got, and we've got sugar. My mom always felt like sugar is sort of an underappreciated ingredient in savory cooking, because like in a chutney, like all those herbs kind of have this naturally savory flavor, and the sweetness balances out, and like I said, keeps things green. I'm watching this. All right, so you're just gonna blend that up. All right, so let's see how this goes. Oh, there we go. This might be like too little chutney to go in this blender. I'm gonna put some water in here just to help get things going. I tested all the recipes for the book in my own blender at home, which is potentially like the world's shittiest blender. It's like, if these recipes can work in my shitty blender, surely they will work in any home kitchen blender. And in fact, this is really just not cooperating, is it? There we go. It'll go eventually. Kind of gotta let it do its thing for a little while. It's just like big blender, small chutney situation. All right, it's going. This is really awkward because you can't even hear me over the blender, but it's fine. Just give me like 30 more seconds, talk amongst yourselves. Oh, thanks. Oh, there's more cilantro? I don't think we need more cilantro. I think we're good. We just gotta be patient. It'll happen. There, okay, it's happening. All right. Let's check and see. All right. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little more lime juice in this. I think we've just got like a big blender thing and it's not blending this properly. All right, I'm just gonna give this a little stir. Ooh. All right. Sure. Oh yeah, let's use the tamper. Good call. I didn't even see the tamper and I was like, I wish they had a tamper here. And it's here. Thanks. This is like what my mom would have done too. I feel like she's here with us right now. Wow. It's like the one tamper that doesn't go all the way to the bottom. Am I being punked? All right. Come on. Okay. All right, things are happening. We're getting there. Okay, all right. I think this is gonna work out. We're good, guys. There. All right, I think we're good. It's what? Oh, geez, guys, thank you. What would I do without y'all? No, thankfully they're good. I put it on low heat. We're good. It's really funny, ironically. I'm like, I feel like this is a very expensive blender. Maybe it's like chutney, like the cheaper the blender, the better the chutney. All right, cool. So we've got our chutney. All right, so let's check on the sandwich. I'm gonna turn this heat up. Okay, yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Thanks, y'all. I really feel like we're in this together. I wasn't sure if you were gonna remind me. That was a test. And you all passed with flying colors. Okay, so the last component of the Hetoast is the chonk. So maybe you've heard it be called tarka, maybe you've heard it be called vagar. It all means the same thing, which is spices tempered in oil. And what that does, it's sort of this like amazing technique that if you do it will kind of change the way that you cook. By tempering spices in oil, which basically just means kind of like heating them up, almost like shallow frying them, you are basically creating texture because the spices get all crispity. You're infusing the oil with flavor, and you're sort of just adding this like layer of depth and richness that goes on top of any dish, and it's amazing. Like, I have put chonk on a steak. I've put chonk on noodles. I've put chonk on a salad. I've put chonk on nachos, which is a recipe on NYT Cooking called chachos. Chonk is the greatest technique ever, and once you master it, you're gonna wanna just put it on everything. All right, I'm gonna put a little more oil in this so that we can get these guys browning. And we're gonna make our chonk. So, super easy. We're gonna bring our heat up to medium-high. My mom makes her chonk on high heat because she's a maniac, but I wouldn't recommend that because the first 10 times I made chonk, I was on high heat and I burnt it 10 out of 10 times. And don't be discouraged if you burn your chonk. Everyone burns their chonk at one point. I'm sure there was a point in which my mom burnt her chonk. It's hard to imagine, but she taught herself to cook when she immigrated here using basically just memories of her grandmother's cooking. She claims that there was a point in which she was bad at cooking, but I don't really believe her. I think she was just like born an amazing cook. All right, oh my God, I'm turning the heat up a little higher. I'm kind of nervous. Okay, so we're gonna put in about a 1/4 cup of oil. You can use, this is like an adorable little butter warmer, but you can use really any small pan that you have. Like non-stick, little like non-stick skillet will work great. So you're just gonna heat up that oil until it gets somewhat hot. All right, we're gonna give this a second. We're gonna check on our Dahi toasts. I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit. I was so nervous about burning, and now they're not cooking fast enough. All right, so this is hot, so we're gonna add our black mustard seeds. These are not the same thing as brown mustard seeds or yellow mustard seeds. It's gonna taste real weird if you use those seeds. Use black mustard seeds. I weirdly order my black mustard seeds on Amazon now. You know, Amazon is whatever, it's, you know, whatever evil corporation. Great place to buy Indian spices. All the good brands they sell on Amazon. My favorite chaat masala they sell on Amazon. All right, so our mustard seeds are doing their thing. They're kind of dancing, doing a jig around in the oil. That means you're ready to add your curry leaves. So don't be alarmed, there's gonna maybe be some popping and fireworks, and that is okay. I always have to warn people. And basically you're like potato chipifying your curry leaves. They get really crispy, really crunchy. Like crisp up curry leaves are just perfect. And you know what? We're gonna add these fallen soldiers as well, because no leaf left behind. I recently acquired a curry leaf plant. Those of you who've ever had a curry leaf plant knows like these things are impossible to maintain. Can't wait for it to die in 3 weeks. All right, cool. So we're just gonna let these kind of sit in the oil, let the curry leaves crisp up really nicely, and then we'll be ready to plate. Okay, so just gonna move this here. So we're gonna talk about sides. So we've got our chutney. We have our chutney, thankfully. So there's kind of a debate in the Krishna family between, there's the chutney lovers, which are my mom and my sister Meera. And then there's my dad and me, who really love to have our dahi toast with ketchup. Ketchup is one of the best accompaniments to Indian food. It's sweet, it's tangy, it's full of umami. Like, name a better condiment than ketchup. Can't think of one. Maybe chonk. So my dad, to sort of like, you know, make peace in the family, he came up with this thing that he called a super sauce, which is when you swirl cilantro chutney into ketchup. And it's sort of greater than the sum of its parts, that kind of thing. And it's just perfect. So we're gonna do that. So here's what we do. You put your toasts arrange them like so on your cutting board. All right. And now we're gonna take our chonk, and do we have a spoon, a little teeny spoon? Oh, they're underneath here, aha. All right. So we're gonna spoon our chonk over here, just like that. And my mom always tells me that I overleaf my dahi toast, but I just love the crunch of curry leaves. I mean, I don't know, I wish you had but look at that. In fact, I'll bite into one so you can hear the crunch. Whoa, it's like potato chip levels of crunch. I'm telling you, curry leaves, man. Worth the hassle of getting a curry leaf plant that will probably die. All right, so you got our sandwiches, and I'm gonna make a little chutney ketchup medley in here. All right. So we've got, okay. Just gonna put a little dollop of chutney. I'm gonna put some ketchup. This is, I used to associate dahi toast as something I could only have when I was home, and then realizing it was so easy, now I make it all the time. All right, so you're gonna do a little dolloping action. Oh my God, y'all, it's so good. It's like you've got acidity from the sourdough, acidity from the yogurt, bite of the onion, bite of the chilies, the beautiful crunch of the curry leaves, the earthiness of the mustard seeds. It's just so much flavor in what is literally a gussied up grilled cheese sandwich. Only Indian cuisine, guys. All right, so I think that's it. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll be back at 3:30. Just gonna awkwardly stand here and take a few more bites. Go about your business.
Thank you all for coming. Please come back at 2:45 for Fresh and Flavorful with Chef Coleman Teitelbaum and Chef Joel Chesbro.